So if that's not known, it's okay to use the sample standard deviation, the S value. Okay, so this is the population standard deviation.
Oh, okay.
And we don't know it.
But it's okay to use the sample.
It's okay to use the sample one in place of it if that's not known, because they're fairly close, and these are estimates we're doing, so that's why they're allowing that little bit of error. Okay, so it's a three-step process to do a what we're finding is confidence interval.
Okay.
We're almost there. So a confidence interval, and what we're doing the confidence interval for is the population mean. Population mean, which is mu, with large samples. What do you think constitutes a large sample? Any guesses what the large number is? 30. Sample size. Okay, three-step process. First step, you're going to find your mean of your sample and the standard deviation of the sample. Then, you're going to find the max error. And then you're going to write the interval. Our interval is, we're going to assume that the sample mean is close to the population value with this much error. So what we're going to do is take the sample mean, add and subtract your max error. So you'll have a little interval of values. From here to here is where I expect the population mean to fall in between. And this is all for the population mean. So I think if we go through one of these, I think you'll see it's okay. I kind of get what you talked about for 20 minutes. Kinda. Okay, can I get rid of this?
Can you do this if we want?
Possibly. Okay. So, one example. Got your calculator handy? We are doing, I gotta find it. I'm not gonna write it all out here. One, yep, that's it. Okay, so, you're gonna need your book because you're gonna have to put some data on the list here. This three-step process, none of the math here is difficult, just knowing what to do. I'm looking. Okay, we are going to find the 95% confidence interval for the mean number of sentences in a magazine advertisement. This was a real study too, I don't know why. Mean number of sentences in a magazine advertisement. Okay, your sample data is on page 252. Down on the bottom of the page and try it number 1. So, I guess I can put my book up here. We are finding, so what they did was they went through, randomly picked advertisements in a magazine, and they counted the number of sentences in that advertisement. Okay, so based on this sample of, I think they did 30 magazines, we want to know what's the average for all magazine advertisements out there. What's the average number of sentences in all magazine advertisements? Why would somebody study that? I can't imagine why that's an important study, but I don't know, but that's what this one problem's all about. So, what's the average number of sentences you would find in a magazine advertisement based on this sample of 30? So, what are you doing right now? And why are you putting them in a list? I didn't tell you to. What's the first step in this process? Get the mean and the standard deviation of your sample. So you do have to put them in a list to find the mean and standard deviation. Sometimes they tell you what the mean and standard deviation are, which is good. Yes, you're going to use, because this is a sample. So if they don't give you the mean and the S, then you've got to do the one-bar stats thing. So, the first step was to use L1 and then one-bar stat. Sometimes they tell you these two numbers and you just use them and you move on to step 2. If they don't tell you what's there and they give you the raw data like this, then you got to run one-bar stat. So, what did you get for the mean? Again, what did you get? 14.77. And what was the S value? Because this was a sample. So you don't want the sigma. Don't take that because this is a sample of 30 magazines. Are we agreeing with those two numbers? So you did take the S and not the sigma, correct?
Yes.
All right. That's usually where people lose a point. Because we've been, whole last chapter, we took the sigma because that was the population value. Now these are samples we're working with. We'll know more of that. Can you get that, Ashley?
I just finished the list.
Oh, well go ahead, run your one-bar stats. You did it right. So you didn't enter them in right then. Calculators don't make the mistakes. So hopefully there's a lot of problems where they just tell you what two numbers to use. Okay, first step is done. What does second step tell us to do? Find that max error. So I know that the population means somewhere around this. The chance of me actually hitting it right on the head pretty slim. So we're going to give a range of values that I expect the population to fall in between. That's our whole goal. So max error is next. I'll write the formula down. It was z-score for our confidence level times by the S divide by the square of the sample size. Okay, what confidence level are we doing? 95. I want the z-score for that, not the actual 95. What's the z-score for 95%? 1.96.
Excuse me, will the following students please report to the gym at this time? Crystal Peterson, Marissa Polly, Kira Posse, Wynn Powell, Aaron Quinn, Iris Robert, Emily Royer, Abby Runkle, Sandy Taylor, Paige Schwartz, Kathy Seidel, and Abigail Shear.
Oh, what am I doing?
At this time, thank you.
Yeah, that's not even right. Square root of the sample size. How many did you put in? 30. I was just looking at my two numbers. It's divided by the square root of the sample size. So error is how much? How's the calculator work? Did someone match Kayla? 5.92? Yeah? So now what we're going to do is give an interval that I expect the population value to fall in between. So if I was able to look at all magazines and count all the advertisement number of sentences, I would expect that average for the population to fall in between, what do I do to find the range? To the mean, 14.77 plus and minus the 5.92. So what interval is that?
20.6.
What's the upper? What's the lower end? 8.85. And that's a pretty big range. 8 to 20, it's a big range. So, there's 95% chance that the population mean, in other words, all advertisements, the average number of sentences would fall between 8 and 21. There's a 5% chance we're wrong. Understand the process? So, you get to do. The whole chapter is confidence intervals. All the way through. It is. What do I got? That's one page, 259.
For like the extra credit, do we have like one per chapter?
Yes, there's one in each chapter. And once we get to it, that's when you have the knowledge to do it. So wherever it shows up.